welcome back to another Reviews by Beth video, and today I am talking the books that made me sob. Now, I am an emotional person and books often tend to get to me, but I'm talking the ones that really got me. Not just a little tear, I'm talking full on sob. So let's get into it. Now, the first book that I'm going to talk about is actually the first book that I ever cried to while reading, and this was years ago. And this is one of the best books of all time, in my opinion, and that is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. I hope I'm saying his name right. And this book is just perfection. It's just chef's kiss, the best written book I think I may have ever read. And it is so sad. It's written by death itself. I mean, if that doesn't tell you enough, I don't know not what will. So the narrator is Death, and he opens up the story and closes it. And we are taken into the world of Germany during World War II and during the persecution of the Jews. And we see this little girl called Liesel, who is not a Jew, in 1939 in Nazi Germany, and they take into hiding a Jew. So they have to keep secret about a Jew living there, and the Jew lives in the basement, and so Liesel makes best friends with this Jew that they're hiding, and it is just such a beautiful story of friendship, and it is glorious the way this is written. And there's a few very close encounters. You know, there's some very dangerous nail-biting moments, and you're like, oh my goodness, are they going to get caught? And I'm not going to reveal the ending, because if you want to read this book, then you should. But I think it was the last 50 pages, it's quite a hefty book. The last 50 pages, I'm pretty sure there's tear marks on this book from where I was just sobbing at the end, and it's a real gut wrencher. And I mean, no spoilers, but it is narrated by Death, so take from that what you will. But I do think this is also beautiful about lives and humanity, and also talks about the terrors of Germany. I mean, I have a big interest in Nazi Germany, in that portion of history, and I think if you are, then this is a wonderful book for you. And I just think even if you aren't, this is one of the best written books I think I've ever read. So this is 100% a 5 out of 5 star book, and you should definitely pick it up if you haven't. It's an absolute modern day classic, and I recommend it to everybody. If you haven't and you want to go cry, The Book Thief. Okay, so the next book that I cried and sobbed to is another war book. There's a theme here, and it's The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Now, I have done a whole other video of that up on my YouTube, so if you want to see a whole review of that, then that is also, I'll put it up here. But this is also a wonderful book. This is different. This is also set in Nazi Germany, but it's completely different. And this is about the occupation of France and the women that were there, and what it's like to lead a life when you're being overtaken by the Nazis, and when you're faced with danger and you feel helpless. And this is about women and their stories in war, as well as the men's stories in war. And again, the ending of this, always the endings of these books that are just gut-wrenching, but this one was more happy sad than just sad. I mean, at the end of the book, especially the last, I'd say, quarter of the book, it gets really deep. And obviously, if you are reading this book, there are a few trigger warnings, so maybe have a look at them online before you read the book. But it is so beautifully written, and you fall in love with these characters. And the ending, especially, there's a bit of a frame narrative, and it all comes into play. And the way that the book is finished is just beautiful. And it had me sobbing, and I still think about this book every single day. I read it this summer and I could not put it down, and me and my grandma both read it and we both absolutely sobbed. So if you're looking for a page turner and a good sob, then this book is for you. And I am going to rate this one another 5 out of 5. Now, my last book that I'm going to be recommending that absolutely made me sob is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is a beautiful book. Again, it's kind of around the theme of war. Again, a really sad ending that I could not forget, and I think about this all the time. But it is such a beautiful book, and I am here for this. Now, this is my first ever book that I read looking at Greek mythology. I didn't really know too much about it, but it's not actually written by Achilles. It's written by Achilles' love interest, Patroclus. I'm trying to say that right. Patroclus. I'm going to pretend that that's right. And this is a gay love story between these two boys, and it's unconventional in the time, but you absolutely love this passion between the two, and you feel the pain when Patroclus is worried about Achilles, and it's just so heartwarming, gut-wrenching at the same time, and the ending is something that will stay with you and will make you sob, because I definitely did. And I read this quite a few years ago, but it is still one of my favorite books of all time. I'm giving you my good ones in this book review in this video, but this is again about Greek war, and it's very different to these other books that I was recommending because it's more hand-to-hand combat and it's more physical and up close and personal, and I feel like the energy of the war itself is more heightened. I think the other books are around the situation of war, but this one is really about the nitty-gritty bits of war. I have to say it was slightly a slow start with this book, but once I got in it, oh my goodness, I could not put it down. It was absolutely beautiful. So again, another 5 out of 5 star book. It is one to read, and it will also make you sob. Please let me know if you've read any of these, and if these have made you cry, because I've definitely been sobbing over these books. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and that is my wrap on my top 3 books that have made me absolutely cry my eyes out. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And if you want to support us, then we have a Patreon channel as well. That's all from me.